Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to our channel once again. Today I want us to have a very serious discussion. What wins an election? Is it the popularity of the candidate? Or is it the strategy of the candidate? Can a popular candidate fail to win the presidency because of lack of strategy? Or can a weaker candidate win the presidency because of a good strategy? I'm asking that question because I was watching this clip of Edwin Sifuna and Herman Manyora, professor. And I listened to what Herman Manyora was saying and what Edwin Sifuna was saying. And that's why I'm asking you the question. What wins an election? Is it the popularity of the candidate or is it the strategy? Listen in very briefly before we proceed.
I had a very interesting conversation with a gentleman I had breakfast with today. I will not mention him. Some of these big boys in this country. And he says, Manyora, let me tell you this. Ruto stands a very high chance. I told him, oh, yeah. I'm not naive, I know so. But please explain. He says, the opposition will win on popularity. But Ruto may win on politics. And it is politics that delivers the numbers. And the numbers will deliver the presidency. What is your take?
Hiyo ndio tunaita kizungu mingi.
Kizungu mingi?
Hiyo ni kizungu mingi. Mimi nataka unionyeshe mahali kura yake itatoka. Kwa sababu Western hakuna kura ya Ruto. Nyanza hakuna kura ya Ruto. Kisii hakuna kura ya Ruto. Mlimani hakuna kura ya Ruto. Ukambani hakuna kura ya Ruto. Hapa Nairobi hakuna kura ya Ruto. Costa anaweza pata, maybe Northeastern wanampatia kidogo. So anafaa kuonyeshe how is going to win. And popularity, what do you mean by popularity in politics? At the end of the day, yes. Politics is about a popular vote, the popular will of the people. So once you have more people on your side, that's it.
Now, if you listened very closely to that clip, Herman Manyora is suggesting that his friend suggested that the opposition will win in popularity. But William Ruto will win in politics. So two things, popularity and strategy. And Edwin Sifuna is coming and is boldly asking the question, where will William Ruto get the votes? And in fact, is terming the allegations of popularity and strategy as kizungu mingi.
Anafaa kuonyeshe how is going to win. And popularity, what do you mean by popularity in politics? At the end of the day, yes. Politics is about a popular vote, the popular will of the people. So once you have more people on your side, that's yes. it. That's it.
If I were to ask you to whisper to me, what do you think the opposition would need to do? I mean, of course, the chance of winning is there. They have obviously a higher chance than Ruto.
Yeah.
But what is this they need to do to seal the deal?
I think they have to have very honest conversations. We, all of us, actually, who are in the one-term movement, have to have very honest conversations.
Yes.
Because Manyora, we have expressed a desire. I hear overwhelmingly the country saying, we want things to be done differently.
And Sifuna is even asking, where will William Ruto get the votes? Because the truth of the matter is that if today you remove the name of Ruto and you remove the name of all the opposition and you just say vote for either opposition or the president today, majority of Kenyans will easily and will definitely vote against William Ruto. So which means Ruto is very unpopular. But can he win? Can the opposition defeat him? And I want to answer Edwin Sifuna using this clip here by Raila Amolo Odinga. Because in this video, I want to explain what the opposition must do. Forget about these stories. What they must do to win the presidency.
Uchaguzi ambayo imekuwa naita free and fair tangu tulete hii mfumo wa siasa yenye vyama vingi ni 2002. Hiyo peke yake. Hizi zingine zote unajua. SK mwambie nyinyi. SK mwambie nyinyi. Kwa hivyo mimi usimwambie mimi nataka mimi nishinde. Nimeshashinda mara mingi. Sijatangazwa tu. Mimi najua mwaka juzi tulikuwa nasema fungeni 7. Sisi tufungeni 7. Maana tulikuwa najua ndani ya 7 kuna ukweli. Walifungua. Lakini muhimu ni kwamba Kenya ni mkubwa kushinda sisi zote. What's important is democracy is a project. It's not an instant coffee that you brew and drink at the same time.
Now, if you're to ask me, popularity is good in politics. That's why there are some politicians who thrive in populist politics. Someone like Babu Wino. But popularity must be accompanied by strategy. The other day I was telling somebody that if Babu Wino was on the presidential ticket today against William Ruto, then nobody was going to stop him. Because Babu Wino has both the popularity and strategy. And even in Nairobi, Babu Wino will win because he has both the strategy and popularity. Why do you think Edwin Sifuna lost in Kandui? Because by that time he was very popular. Market, he was very popular. But he lacked strategy to win a seat in the village. And that's why the weaker candidate ended up defeating him. But what can the opposition do to defeat Ruto? Because clearly, as we speak today, opposition is very popular. But I tend to think that they lack strategy. So what must they do? Number one, they must unite. That's number one. And that is the secret for them to win. William Ruto is strategic. And I remember at some point, Edwin Sifuna alluded to this. Ruto is very strategic. He understands all this, that the opposition are very strong. If they unite, they will defeat me. Will he allow the opposition to unite? That is now the strategy we are talking about. Will he allow the opposition to unite? Because the opposition must unite. But Ruto is saying, I can't allow them to unite. So what is he doing? For those who follow politics closely, William Ruto is currently doing something. He's ensuring that the opposition is divided. How? He's ensuring that all the key opposition leaders in the Republic of Kenya are currently very popular. And he's doing it strategically. So that in Linda Wananchi, Sifuna is very popular. You've seen Orengo turning out to be very popular. Babu Wino turning out to be very popular. The three can agree to work together. Yeah? But in politics, there is always the window of anything or for anything. So that window is being exploited. So that by the time we'll be reaching 2027, Sifuna will want to be the president, Orengo will want to be the president. And they're very popular. So the expectations of their supporters will be very high. That if it's not Sifuna, we don't. Orengo is also very busy. It will reach a point where his supporters will say, if not Orengo, Ikai. That's strategy. So at the end of the day, they turn out. What about Rigathi, Kalonzo, Matiang'i? But the truth is, if a Kibaki moment will happen, that's a strategy. The opposition can come up with that strategy to ensure they are united. If Kibaki moment will happen, Ruto will go home. But they must unite. The only way. Number two, voter turnout. And this is why Raila Odinga failed miserably. You see, politics is a game of numbers. For you to translate the support into actual numbers, you must come up with a strategy. How did Raila Odinga lose in the last election? He was rigged. Was he rigged at the ballot? Because the difference was only 200,000. It boiled down to turnout. That's why most people are now saying that Raila Odinga failed because his region, that is Lugu Nyanza, 700,000 votes did not vote. If they had turned up, he would have been the president. But remember, Ruto knew this and he came up with a strategy. He knew that Raila Odinga was very popular. He had the deep state which he had lacked. So what did Ruto do? William Ruto went and manipulated the IEBC. What did IEBC did? With the help of intelligence who were allied to Ruto, they came up with a strategy, and the strategy was simple. Raila Odinga was going to win. So the only thing we do is to suppress voter turnouts. Where do we suppress the voter turnout? In two regions, in two counties. Kakamega, which is his stronghold, the highest voting block, and the other region, Mombasa County. Mombasa used to be Raila Odinga's home number one. So on the election day, some few days to the election, IEBC just came up with a theory that elections could not be conducted in those two counties. Raila Odinga and the team unknowingly accepted. They did know the strategy was about voter suppression to affect the voter turnout. So you see, normally what happens is if you're a gubernatorial candidate, you work hard to ensure your supporters turn up in large numbers. If you're an MP, you do the same. That's why any presidential candidate who is worth his salt must ensure that they have candidates in all the constituencies. Another challenge for the opposition. So, at the end of the day, the people of Kakamega voted, but governors did not mobilize gubernatorial candidates. The same to Mombasa. So, if you go to IEBC portal today and you look at the voter turnout in Mombasa, it was 44%. The rest of the country were ranging between 65 going forward there. But for Mombasa, it was 44. Several people failed to turn up, mostly those who are supporting Abdul Somad. You go and look at Kakamega, the highest voting bloc from the Luhya nation. Again, because of the gubernatorial race, the turnout was low. Strategy defeated popularity, because without suppressing the voters' turnout there, Raila would have easily won. Number 3, and this is something I keep on singing to these guys, and I sang it to Raila Odinga multiple times. In fact, most people normally crucify me like, Lee, you predicted Raila Odinga was going to win. Raila won. But they failed on vote protection strategy. How do you protect the votes? Election is not a day event. Election is a process. I normally advise a few political figures. I can't mention their names here. But before I offer my advice, one thing I tell them is that sometimes what I want to tell you might not be very popular with you. You must have a strategy on how to win. For example, if you're a candidate who wants to become the governor for Kisumu, and I'm advising you, I must advise you to focus on your strongholds, ensure those people register as voters. The same to the presidency. You have to understand that election is a pro. It begins with the registration of voters, the procurement of the IEBC kits. The most critical day in election is that election day. Do you have agents? How will you ensure that your people are brought to the polling station? How do you ensure that your agents are not bought? How do you ensure that if you get 1 vote and your opponent gets 10 votes, what IEBC will announce is 1 versus 10. Not giving you 5 and giving your opponent, instead of 10, giving your opponent 20. Because if that happens, then you have lost around 15 votes. So these guys must come up with vote protection unit. And vote protection unit is something which William Ruto put Rigathi Gachagua to test in Mbeere North. Mbeere North illegal, that's the fact. You know it, yeah? But they were testing the preparedness of Rigathi Gachagua and his team to protect. How can they protect the votes? They failed. So you can become very popular, but you don't know how to make your people turn out. You don't know how to unite. You don't know how to protect your votes. Which brings me to what Edwin Sifuna exhibited. The overconfidence. I don't want to dwell much on this, but let me just give you examples. Raila Odinga was so confident of winning the election to an extent that while vote count was ongoing, Raila Odinga and his allies were already dividing seats. They were celebrating, they were dancing. Those clips are there, they are all over. Raila dancing with his team, how is now the 6th. Overconfidence. If you look at Mbeere, the truth is, the DP candidate was definitely going to win. But the overconfidence, you see, if you are overconfident, even your supporters become overconfident. So they don't even see the need of waking up to go and vote because they know this is a done deal. But if you are not sure, if you're not confident enough, if you're not overconfident, what happens? You don't leave any room for mistakes. No chance at all. That's what Ruto did in Mbeere. So they studied the opponents. Last minute, they fixed. Raila Odinga was celebrating. He didn't figure out that he needed turnout in Luo Nyanza. He needed to fix some things. How could he allow Sakaja to be cleared? Where Sakaja did not have a degree. The moment Sakaja was cleared by IEBC, he should have read the motive. In fact, I used to say Raila was going to win, but the day Sakaja was cleared, I stated on my platform that Raila Odinga should forget about the presidency. Yeah? And importantly, IEBC is something they must monitor each and every move. They should have their people in IEBC. Raila used to have. The only problem is sometimes they never used to listen to these people. Because the truth is, IEBC is just a Kenyan institution. If Kenyans are tired with the government, it means even the staffs in IEBC are tired with the government. So it's easy to get people who can leak information to you. So they have to invest. How do they invest? If they get certain information, they pay close attention to. I used to do this. So many people on this platform used to contact me with lots of information, which could have helped our candidate Raila Odinga at that time. But again, anytime you gave them, they were either busy, the team was busy. There are people there, I don't know. They were always moving from one meeting to another. The likes of Oduro went, they're just moving one office. You meet them, oh, we are busy. Oh, I'm calling you, hey, meeting, I'm heading to this. I mean, they're just busy doing nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, Sifuna, this is a warning. Winning an election is not about popularity. It's about strategy. Work on strategy to complement the popularity. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.